This week on Christian World News, a couple who are the parents of 32 children. Hear how they and others across the globe are on a mission to create a world without orphans. Plus, religious freedom is a dream for many Christians, how some lawmakers and activists are fighting to make it a reality. And she's the girl in the iconic photo from the Vietnam War. Today, she's finding healing for her scars inside and out.
여러분 안녕하십니까? 크리스천 월드뉴스입니다. 전 세계적으로 부모가 없는 아이들의 수가 800만 명에 이른다고 합니다. 안정적이고 화목한 가정의 울타리 없이 성장하는 고아들이 그만큼 많다는 뜻일 텐데요. 이런 아이들을 위해 우리 기독교인들이 나서야 한다고 주장하는 이들이 있습니다. 고아 없는 세상을 만들기 위해 노력하고 있는 이들, 오늘 첫 소식으로 함께 만나보시죠.
Gennady Mokhnenko is on a mission.
Статистика говорит следующее, что если в каждой церкви христиан...
The statistics show that if one or two Christian families will take one orphan, we will have a world without orphans.
Mokhnenko is a pastor from eastern Ukraine. Back in 1998, he saw firsthand the plight of children living on the streets and in orphanages in his hometown of Mariupol.
Я просто не знаю, как я...
I just didn't know how I could have left them on the streets. When I saw their eyes, I understood the Father's heart of God. It was a crazy idea, but I knew we had to do something.
What he and his wife Lena did was remarkable. Over 18 years, they've become parents to 32 children. That's right, 32. Most are adopted.
My adopted children were living on the streets. Some of them were as young as 4 and 5. Some as young as 2. But we knew if we didn't take them off the streets, most of them would be dead or in prison.
Today, the Mokhnenkos run the largest rehabilitation program for street youth in Ukraine.
Nobody needs to adopt 32 children like we did. My family is not the norm. But I strongly believe there are enough Christian families in the world who can adopt 1, maybe 2, and then there will not be any orphans left in this world.
Mokhnenko took that message to Chiang Mai, Thailand, where 450 key orphan care leaders met for the first ever global forum for a world without orphans.
This is serious.
Ruslan Maluta helped organize the gathering.
Our purpose is very simple. It's to activate, connect, and equip the body of Christ toward this vision of every child having a permanent, nurturing, and safe families.
Maluta believes churches and Christian organizations have to change their approach from investing in orphanages to investing in families.
It's not easy. You cannot just close an orphanage. The message is not let's close all institutions. That would actually be a wrong idea. We need to change the way people think first.
Craig Greenfield works among vulnerable children in Asia. He says the change has to start with faith-based groups.
Unfortunately, it is still Christian missions and Christian organizations that are perpetuating this model of orphanages. In large secular development organizations, they have not supported or done orphanages for many, many years.
The change is happening, albeit slowly, says Rebecca Nape, who works with a network of Australian churches helping strengthen children's rights to a family.
There is a growing awareness taking place within the church that this actually isn't the best way to care for children, and that a lot of the children being cared for in orphanages or other types of residential care aren't actually orphans. They're children with families, they're children with parents. They're there for reasons such as poverty, disability, or access to education.
But this paradigm shift is not without its critics. Here in Chiang Mai, in the northern part of Thailand, home to roughly about 1.6 million people, there are 600 private orphanages, and many of them, like this one, are run by Christians.
I
grew up in an orphanage as well, so my desire is to take care of orphaned children.
Manop Chow Chalern runs Bandak Di Children's Home. His family was too poor, so they sent him away.
Since there was no school in my village, my parents sent me to an orphanage where I was able to get an education.
He admits it wasn't ideal. Now he and his wife try to create a family-like atmosphere for the 30 children they care for. He says they only take those who are truly orphaned.
The truth is, children should live with their family. But if that can't happen, for whatever reason, there has to be places like this that can be another choice for them.
Back at the forum, participants from 60 countries attended workshops and seminars on raising awareness of family and community-based care. Several speakers addressed the forum, including our very own 700 Club co-host Terry Mewson, a mother of 7, 5 who are adopted.
1. You're welcome. That was good English.
Mewson started Orphans Promise in 2005. She learned early on that building and filling an orphanage wasn't always the best thing to do.
People, I think, still come to me sometimes and say, well, I'd like to build an orphanage. Can we do that through Orphans Promise? And we say, well, you can help us build families and you can help us help children, but we're not really building orphanages. And the orphanages that exist, we're helping to change how they think and feel into that family pod mode.
Orphans Promise works in 60 countries.
So, Eliona, how many ways can we prepare potatoes?
I told you she was resourceful.
Mewson says while this new shift doesn't always guarantee that children will have healthy families to go back to, it's important that the body of Christ steps in to fill the gaps.
Let's step up as the people of God in whatever culture we're in, and let's take those children into a family settings. Let's help them find wholeness so that we're creating a world of healthy families.
Maluta is excited to see more and more people embrace this new mindset of orphan care.
Here is the great part about this vision, that not everyone can adopt, not everyone can foster, not everyone can even engage in a substantial way in some sort of program, but everyone can do something. Everyone can be advocate, everyone can pray, everyone can champion, and anyone who spent even some time in this field knows that it's a long and complicated process, but we have to start somewhere.
The forum, he says, is a new phase of that long and difficult journey toward a world without orphans. George Thomas, CBN News, Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Coming up, religious persecution is getting worse every year. Now one nation is pulling out of the religious freedom fight.
한편 중국에서는 기독교 신앙을 이유로 수감됐던 한 목회자가 풀려났다는 소식이 들려왔습니다.
Pastor Joseph Gu spent 2 months behind bars for publicly protesting the government's removal of church crosses. The cross removals are part of a crackdown on the growing number of Christian churches in Zhejiang province. Pastor Gu remains on house arrest, is banned from preaching, and is restricted from communicating with others.
미국 오픈도어 선교회는 전 세계적으로 기독교 박해가 갈수록 심각해지고 있다는 보고서를 발표했습니다.
The bombing of Christians in Pakistan on Easter was just one of the latest examples. A faction of the Taliban claimed responsibility for that attack, killing more than 70 people. Open Doors reports more than 7,000 Christians were killed for their faith last year, almost 3,000 more than 2014. But the group's president, David Curry, tells the Daily Beast many Americans don't understand how serious the state of Christian persecution is throughout the world, and it's expected to keep on getting worse.
한편 이슬람 극단주의 세력들은 전 세계에 있는 소수 종교인들을 계속해서 공격하고 있어 우려를 낳고 있는데요. 최근 미국 가족연구위원회의 발표에 따르면 이러한 소수 종교인 박해는 미국의 국가 안보에도 큰 위협이 될 거라고 합니다.
Religious freedom is a far-off dream for many Christians facing daily persecution.
The life of religious minorities, and especially believers and Christians, are miserable in Pakistan. We have been persecuted. We are treated as a second and third class citizen in Pakistan.
Horrific events like the Taliban's Easter attack keep happening, and Christians see little to no protection from their governments.
The government still not doing what is needed in Pakistan. And right now it's not a matter of only religious liberty, freedom. It's a matter of life and death.
several experts on religious freedom met in Washington to discuss how global religious persecution affects the United States. Former Congressman Frank Wolf says this is a national security issue for the United States, and Congress has got to wake up and take action.
The administration and the Congress has to deal with it, or else some very bad things are going to happen in the world.
Wolf says he agrees with the Pope that we are in World War III.
We are in World War III, and so the Congress should be dealing with this. Forget the administration, holding extensive hearings, bringing people in, bringing the best political minds in, the best military minds in, and dealing with this.
He also says there is an undeniable connection between the string of terror attacks around the world.
There is a connection between Boko Haram. He pledged it to ISIS. There is a connection to Al-Shabaab in Somalia. There is a connection with what's taking place in Libya. I mean, we saw what took place in France. We saw what took place in San Bernardino.
Panelist Tina Ramirez started a group called Hardwired Global, which educates leaders on religious freedom and encourages them to fight to change laws in their countries that oppress people of minority religions.
You see for the first time in Iraq's history this movement for religious freedom beginning to emerge. What we saw since we've been training leaders throughout Iraq is that they are actually being inspired. They actually have developed a greater appreciation for people of different faiths and for the freedom of people of other faiths to practice their religion however they want.
Although it feels like a helpless situation, the panelists are encouraged by the fact that they are making a difference in the lives of the people they are reaching. Reporting from the Family Research Council in Washington, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
그렇다면 전 세계적으로 종교 박해 문제가 갈수록 심각해지는 이유는 무엇일까요? 박해받는 기독교인들을 돕는 순교자의 소리를 만나 좀 더 자세한 이야기 나눠보겠습니다.
Now, you've ministered to persecuted Christians in 40 countries. Why is persecution getting worse, Jason?
Well, it's a good question. I think that Jesus promised that if we faithfully followed him, we would face persecution. And we're seeing that manifest largely because of the growth of Islamic extremists, which is really targeting Christians.
Where have you seen the greatest suffering?
Personally, I would have to say Sudan. Sudan has been one of the most difficult places to be a Christian in recent years. And most recently, it's been Syria and Iraq.
Well, VOM is sponsoring a new movement called I Am In. What is this all about?
Well, when Islamic militants came into Mosul, which was a part of the Nineveh plain, I mean, this was the biblical city of Nineveh. Christians have been there for many hundreds of years. ISIS came in and they started to spray paint things on people's home. And what it was the Arabic letter Nun, which is the way that Christians are identified in the Quran. It's the first letter of the word, which comes from Nazarene. Nazrani. So as this was spray painted on their houses, they had a few choices. They could either convert to Islam, they could pay this exorbitant jizya tax, which is like selling yourself into slavery, they could leave, or they would be killed.
Well, I know VOM has a new book out called I Am Noon. It looks like I Am In, but it's actually I Am Noon. And it's a collection of stories from Christians who have faced persecution from ISIS and other Islamic extremists. Briefly share a story from the book that inspires you.
Yeah, one of the most amazing stories is the story of a 13-year-old boy named Danjuma. And he was in northern Iraq, and he was attacked by Islamic extremists. They came into his village. They killed 23 Christians that night. With him, they hit him in the head with a machete. They tried to cut off his left arm. They ended up actually, believe it or not, cutting off his genitals. Just really harassing, oppressive kind of things. And now he's blind. But in spite of all that, you can read in the book how he says, even though they did this to me, God is in control and I trust him. And by the way, I forgive those men who did this to me because Jesus has forgiven me.
Well, why is persecution not necessarily a bad thing, would you say?
Well, because it provides a purification of the church. Persecution works to refine our faith. It works to challenge us to say, what do I really believe? Because if it's not tested, it's kind of hard for me to demonstrate that it's true.
Well, what can our viewers do to make a difference? People want to help.
They do. And one of the first things that persecuted Christians ask us for is we're sitting in a tent of a refugee, sipping tea and talking about it. I will ask them, how can we help you? The first thing they say is pray. Pray for us. And they'll mention occasionally that they're praying for us as well, because they say, we know that you're facing challenges. But to pray, though, you've got to know your family. And I like to think of it as brothers and sisters. Secondly, we provide practical ways to help. So people go to persecution.com. They can sign up for a magazine which tells them how they can help. Also, they find out ways they can practically provide assistance like family med packs.
Well, Dr. Jason Peters from the Voice of the Martyrs, thanks again for being with us today. We want to mention that your book, of course, from Voice of the Martyrs called I Am Noon. It is inspiring stories of Christians facing Islamic extremists, and it can be found at Christian bookstores and at Amazon.com, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Up next, she carries the scars of war, how this brave young woman found healing for her body and soul.
(1972년) 베트남 전쟁 당시 알몸으로 울부짖으며 달려가고 있는 한 소녀의 사진이 전 세계인들의 마음을 울렸는데요. 이 사진 속 주인공인 킴푹은 당시 전쟁으로 인한 화상의 흉터를 여전히 가지고 있습니다. 하지만 다행히도 새로운 화상 치료법이 개발되면서 이들의 삶에도 희망이 생기고 있다고 합니다.
Who can forget this picture? 9-year-old Kim Phuc trying to outrun her burning flesh after the South Vietnamese dropped a napalm bomb on her village. Her burns were so bad, the doctors gave her zero chance of survival and took her body to the morgue. But Kim Phuc wasn't ready to die.
My parents found me there.
In the morgue?
Yeah.
But you weren't dead.
I had not died yet. But you know, God had a plan for me. He's not finished with me yet.
Today, Kim is 53. Her beautiful kimono hides the deep scars on her back and arms, while her beautiful smile tries to hide the pain she still deals with daily.
I had 17 operations.
Kim spoke to a group of doctors and plastic surgeons in Washington, D.C. recently about the day that changed her life.
The fire everywhere around me, and my clothes were burned by the fire. I thought about the moment, oh my goodness, I would be ugly and people would see me different way, but I was so terrified. And then I ran out of that fire.
4 decades after that horrible day, Kim has new hope that her scars can not only look better, but feel better.
Her biggest problem, which has been such a great thing about the laser, is she has pain. And that's from where the napalm stuck to her and then caught on fire. It's really terrible.
Dr. Jill Weibel, a Miami dermatologist, discovered that lasers can effectively treat burn scars by reducing pain and increasing mobility.
Lasers actually made burns and trauma scars worse. And so it wasn't until this new invention of the fractional laser, where the laser has little tiny holes that vaporize the tissue, and then the normal skin heals it, that actually is a game changer for burn and trauma patients. It heals the skin to almost normal. It takes a series of treatments, but it really is the most amazing technology I think that burn and trauma survivors have had in over 100 years.
Kim has already had 4 of the 7 treatments she needs.
And my scar is getting much lighter and softer. And that is give me hope that a year from now I will be free the pain and my scar look much better.
The maker of the laser, Luminous, helped kick off the Restoring Heroes Initiative, a program designed to help people like Kim and other war heroes receive this life-changing laser treatment.
Although the technology is out there, unless you're paying out-of-pocket money, which is very, very expensive for all these veterans, then they cannot be treated. So we are very, very proud to be working together with Restoring Heroes and trying to get a code that will allow, all these veteran hospitals, and there are like 99 veteran hospitals, to treat actually all these people.
Despite the fear no one would want her, Kim married and has 2 sons. She says her conversion from the Cao Dai religion to Christianity at the age of 19 changed everything.
How did that help you forgive the people who dropped the bombs that burned you?
The picture of Jesus Christ when they put him on the cross and they kill him. So Jesus say, Father, forgive them, that they don't know what they're doing. So that picture, that word, it just say, Lord, help me to do the same thing like you did. and gave me the power, gave me a strength, gave me compassion to do that. And then I started to pray for my enemies. And the more I pray for my enemies, the softer my heart became.
Dr. David McDaniel, a pioneer in laser technology, says Kim's story reminds him that although doctors and nurses treat the outside, it's Jesus who heals the heart.
There's a very famous sign at a mission hospital in Africa that the doctors and the nurses treat, but Jesus heals. And we use the lasers and the power to help heal her scars, but really Jesus healed her heart.
Kim says this famous Pulitzer Prize photo that the Vietnamese government once used as a propaganda tool to control her is now a blessing that she can use to reach the world.
That picture became the powerful gift for me. I can work with it for peace, for good.
Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
CBN 오퍼레이션 블레싱 팀이 온두라스에 사는 한 아기의 시력 회복을 위한 수술비를 지원했습니다.
Mylene was born with cataracts in both eyes, and at 8 months old, she faced permanent blindness. The surgery cost far more than her mother could afford. Her mother, Kimberly, prayed, "My God, help me. Please help my daughter." Through Operation Blessing, the surgery and follow-up care, they were paid for. Mylene is now completely healthy. Kimberly thanks God for hearing her prayers.
오늘 준비한 소식은 여기까지입니다. 저는 다음 주에 다시 찾아오겠습니다. 시청해주신 여러분 고맙습니다.